Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I see everyone joining in. I am Jigar Kanjani with Supply Chain Canada West, and welcome to our session three, the final session on our career development series. Before we get started, I'll just like to quickly roll a video. Sorry if you could roll this video.
The rate of change that we're seeing today has never been this quick. We're going to continue to see change happening all around us, whether it's through the increased frequency of trade disruption, geopolitical risks, or even the impact of technology and artificial intelligence. This is all the reason why building communities, having all those connections, and working and leveraging and building off of these relationships that we have with one another is going to be able to help us through these turbulent times. A vibrant supply chain community allows supply chain professionals to really build off of the relationship we have with one another for support, for best practices, to learn from one another, and to share ideas. The recent experience with the tariffs, for instance, amazing effort by all those to come together to talk about what are you doing in your organization? What am I doing in my organization? How are we gonna deal with this? How do we change and move our supply chains around so that we can address these trade disruption risks and issues? That's the power of that community to be able to engage.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. Welcome, everyone. For the folks that have just tuned in to our session three of the Supply Chain Canada Career Development Series, this session is going to be on career coaching in action. Um, uh, you have done an incredible work in the past 3 weeks for the folks who have joined us since the session one. You have optimized your LinkedIn in session one. You have beaten up ATS in session two. And now we are choosing and to close off this session three, we would be now diving deep into career coaching and how it looks. And if it is your first time joining us, welcome to you as well. Today's session stands on its own, so you are in the right place. Over the past 2 weeks, we have given you multiple tools on LinkedIn optimization, how to make resumes ATS proof. Um, and today's session, we are going to talk about the strategy, your career plan, and where are you going, and how do you get unstuck with what you are unsure about. To start, I'll start off with a few housekeeping notes. Firstly, this session is getting recorded, and as a reminder, the recording of all three sessions, along with the slide decks and templates, would be sent after today's session. So please watch out for that email, which would have all the links to the recordings as well as the slide deck. So it would have all the toolkit in one package. For the audio setup here, everybody would be in listen only mode like the before two sessions. But to engage with the speakers here, we will have a reaction button that you could use and also a chat functionality where you could share your comments, thoughts, any questions that you have. And even for questions, we would also have a dedicated Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window there, where you could drop in questions throughout the session as we have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So feel free to drop any questions that you have throughout the session. Um, and let me now move on to why we are here today. Um, what you are going to see today is actual coaching conversation. Um, you're going to see how coaching unlocks stuck thinking, builds confidence, and helps you create an actionable career plan, whether you are early career, mid career, or senior leadership. This isn't theory, it's the career coaching in action. Um, And to close out this series, let me introduce the person who's been guiding us through all three sessions. Sara Struthers, manager of industry engagement and career services at SATE, ICF certified career coach, and expert behind everything we have learned over the past 3 weeks. For those who have been here since session one, you already know Sarah's track record. For those who are new today, Sara has spent over 15 years helping professionals navigate career transitions. She has worked with 300 plus mid-career professionals with her 72 to 75% placement rate, which speaks for itself. But here is what makes Sara different. She is ICF ACC certified. That means she's trained in the kind of coaching that creates real, measurable results, not just advice giving, but unlocking the solutions that are already inside. Over the past 3 weeks, Sarah has shown us in session one how to be visible on LinkedIn so that the recruiters can hunt you down. In session two, how to beat ATS and get your resume past the robots. And today is the session three where she would unlock the career strategy for us that would build confidence and create actionable plan. So yeah, this is the finale. This is where everything comes together. And Sarah, take it away. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Jigger. I appreciate that. Those kind words again. So let's get right into it and talk about what coaching is. So, at its core, coaching is a partnership, and it works with you setting the agenda. In every coaching session, it's about what matters to the person being coached, the challenges that they're facing, the decisions that they're wrestling with, and the goal that they're working towards. You create the solution, not the coach. You're the expert of your work. You're the expert of your industry, your situation. And so my job as a coach isn't to tell you what to do. So what I actually do is I ask powerful questions, questions that help you see the situation differently, and questions that might spark an insight in yourself. So these are questions that you may not ask yourself. And honestly, it's a really simple, it's a beautifully simple thing that we do in coaching, but the impact can be very profound, and you'll actually have a chance to see that in a few minutes. So now coaching can get confusing, and sometimes people confuse it with other helping professions, if you will. So I like to use the analogy of riding a bike to help people understand the difference between coaching and the other helping professions that we see. So when you think of riding the bike, and if you're training would be teaching you the mechanics of riding the bike. So how to use the pedals, how the brakes work, how to balance on the bike. It's a skills-based instruction. Mentoring would be something like me saying, here's how I learned riding my bike, and here's what worked for me. And this is what I did when I fell off my bike. So mentoring is more sharing about my experiences and my wisdom with somebody. Consulting is a little bit different. Consulting is analyzing the situation and saying something like, based on my experiences, here's exactly what I think you should do to get a bike with training wheels, maybe practice for 30 minutes daily. Here's your step-by-step plan. So consulting is more providing an expert solution to the problem. Therapy, when it comes to riding a bike, is more exploring what you're afraid of. So what past experiences has created that fear? How can we help you heal the relationship that you have with potential riding the bike? Therapy addresses the emotional wounds and maybe past traumas that people have. And I do this every single session. I apologize. It wouldn't be me if I didn't go fast forward. And coaching would be me asking, What makes it hard for you to ride the bike? What have you already tried? What else would you like to try? What would success look like for you riding a bike? What will you do next? And when will you practice? So the coach doesn't need to know how to ride a bike. You figure it out on your own. They help you think it through. So in coaching, you are the expert of your work, of your life, and I'm the expert on on the process of helping you gain clarity and take action. And those are the fundamental difference between coaching and those other professions. So now you might be thinking, this sounds awesome, but does it actually work? So let me share you some current researches. So companies with a coaching culture grow 27% faster year over year than companies without that coaching culture. A coaching culture doesn't necessarily mean that everybody needs to have a coach, but it means that leadership asks coaching questions, they create space for people to solve problems, and they focus on development for their employees' development. And the supporting data backs this up, actually. So 87% of organizations agree that coaching has a high return on investment. And that's from a 2024 study by FMI, which is a management consulting firm. 96% of companies, a 96% report improved individual performance when they implement coaching programs. And that's from a study done from Coaching Counts report. And nearly every company from that report saw measurable improvements. And 72% see increased employees' engagement when they offer coaching. And that stat rather is from the International Coaching Federation report that they did in 2023. And everybody, doesn't matter what industry you're in, employee engagement directly impacts retention, which impacts the company's ability to deliver. So these aren't actually soft benefits. These are measurable for business outcome. And for individuals, people get so much out of coaching. So the International Coaching Federation surveyed coaching clients in 2024. And 3/4 of the people, 75%, reported better work performance and better relationships and better communication skills as well. So all three of those areas improved from coaching. 85% reported self-confidence increase. And in supply chain, when you're often navigating complex stakeholder relationships, managing disruptions, or making decisions with incomplete information, confidence matters. And 70% of those that responded to this survey said they experienced better stress management. And given the challenges that supply chain has faced over the past couple of years, whether it's the disruptions from COVID, labor shortages, inflation, changing regulations, dealing with the United States, which can be very stressful, stress management isn't a luxury, it's essential. And 61% of those surveys achieved improved work-life balance. So this one resonates with a lot of mid-career professionals because those folks are juggling with career advancements and personal responsibilities at home. So the powerful thing about coaching is that it works at every stage in a career. In your early career, it can help you clarify your direction and build confidence. During your mid-career, it's about strategic pivots, developing your leadership, or navigating complex situations. For senior leaders, uses coaching for executive presence, for complex decision-making, and thinking about their legacy. And in just a moment, you're going to see exactly how this works in practice. So that's what the research says, but I think it's one of the best ways for you to understand what coaching is actually see it. So my colleague Priya, so she's also here on the screen with you, she's volunteered to be coach today. and we're going to be working on a real work challenge that she's facing. And I want to thank Priya for willing to do this. So before we start, though, I'd like to put some things in context. What Priya and I are going to be discussing stays confidential. So the coaching model is all about confidence. We're allowing you to come in and see us do this in practice, but please don't share anything that you've seen. What we discussed today is purely confidential. The other thing I want you to be aware when you're watching is that this is not scripted. We have not rehearsed this. I have no idea what Priya is bringing to us today. And one of the things I want you to notice is that I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, and that's intentional. That's what coaching is. I'm not going to be solving Priya's problem. Priya is going to be solving, hopefully, the issue that she's going to bring to the table today. The final thing I want you to try to pay attention to is what shifts during our conversation. So often in coaching, you're going to see a breakthrough. And the breakthrough isn't about getting the right answer. It's seeing the situation through different lenses. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to ask Priya, what is it that you'd like to talk about today?
Hi, so I in the last couple, I just joined a new company. I've been with them just a little over 2 years, and I've taken a step down in my roles and responsibilities for myself and what I wanted to do. And so some of the positions, I've been in the industry for 25 years, and some of the positions that I see in this new organization, I'm kind of at a point now, I've been here long enough, and I'm questioning my leadership team in not so much strategy, that also always comes from a higher level, but more so confidence in, I'm not sure they know how to execute the strategy. And I find myself coaching leadership, not coaching actually, going to your point earlier, consulting and giving advice. And I don't get paid enough to do that. And I just need to do my job and just do what I'm supposed to be doing instead of trying to figure out how to clean up their mess. It's almost like I'm in a situation where there could be an issue and there's overcorrection to a point where they're just going to a whole new level, and it doesn't need to get to that. So I'm struggling with confidence in my leadership team. I'm struggling with confidence in my direct manager. There's just with basic questions. I think when you start a new company, things are different, and the way things are done are a bit different. And every time I have a question, it's about logistics more than anything else. And I'm always giving an answer. Oh, I'm not sure. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not sure. Who is going to be sure? Because this is a very basic question that in my previous roles, I would have had the answer. Okay. Or I would have said, I'm not sure. Let me go figure it out. Okay. So I'm struggling.
Okay, thank you. How is this impacting you?
I think frustration for me. Like, I do get frustrated because if I try to give a little bit of guidance, it's not that it's not heard, but it's taken as their own solution. Oh, I came up with that, where I know that it was me that was in the background saying, hey, and I don't want any brownie points. That's not what this is about. It's just, you're getting paid to do a job. Can we just get it, can we just do our jobs? And that's, I get very frustrated.
And so what would you like to see different?
If I'm asking you a question and I need some help with something, I would really appreciate you that if you didn't have the answer, that's fine, but figure it out and get back to me instead of me having to contact a global organization to figure out where to get the answers from. I don't think that that's these are very basic questions that I have.
Okay. Okay. And what would be beneficial for you today to work on?
How to navigate the frustration, I guess.
Okay.
You know, why am I getting so frustrated? You know, I think that's kind of what I need to figure out here, because I don't believe that anything is going to change anytime soon.
Mm. So, answer your question. What's happening with that frustration? Where is that coming from?
A little bit of ego, I'm going to say, probably like a little bit of ego. I think when you go through dips in life, and right now I feel very empowered with what I'm doing and how I'm doing things, and personally, professionally. So there could be a bit of ego there, just in the sense of, you're not doing it the way I would do it. This isn't going the way it would go with me. I think I just always want to give 150%. And if I see other people half assing things here and there, it's a problem for me. And I think, no, actually, I don't think it's ego. It's just the way, my standard, actually. I think it's more my standard.
And how is your standard impacting other people?
Positively, you know, the people that I am
Mm-hmm.
connecting with, and the people that I do have interactions with, they always leave very positively, because I do give 110%. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. And I think when I don't get that reciprocated in a world where I feel like we're all ramping up to have to do that little bit more, that little bit extra, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you know, just to do the bare minimum should be, you know, that should be standard practice.
So I heard the word should. So whose voice is that in the should?
Definitely my own. Definitely my own. I don't know if I should again. I don't know if it's a case of I should lower my expectations, but then if I lower my expectations of the bare minimum, that would bring more frustration for me.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm a superstar either, but I do I do the bare minimum of knowing that I don't know the answers, but I know for sure you're going to get an answer from me within 24 hours of whatever it is. So to your point, the should is probably my expectation, for sure. It is. And how do I manage that? And if I start lowering my expectations, what am I doing?
It sounds like a value is being rubbed. How does that land?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what value. I don't know what that value would be, but I absolutely, when you've been in an industry for so long and you've always done things a certain way. No, sorry, it's not about always doing, you've always seen other management teams and other people that you've worked with, and you've learned so much. I feel like I'm at standstill. I'm not learning anything from these guys. I feel like they're learning from me. And if that was the case, I would have stayed in those positions that of mid-management, and I would have worked at the corporate ladder. That's not what I wanted to do. So I almost feel like I'm still being lent on from mid-management and my management, who should be teaching me, or I should have some growth. I'm not getting anything.
There's a lot to unpack there. So
Yeah.
thank you. I felt your frustration when you're talking about the should, what my manager should be doing. And can you expand on that?
I just want to be able to have support when I need it. I think that's ultimately the bottom line. When it comes to the industry, I've got no problem navigating the industry, but when it comes to the company, this is the only company my manager's ever worked for, so she's had no exposure anywhere else. She's new into this role, but I just, I don't know if she knows what her role is and what she should be doing, but I also know it's not my job to be telling you what your job is. So I think it's just support. I just need support. And it's frustrating when I don't get it. And it's even more frustrating when I don't get a follow-up.
And what is that support that you need?
Like just the basic stuff of, sometimes it could be very basic, like we have to pull data, and in January I needed to pull data for 2025, but the system was only showing me year to date January for 2025 and she didn't have the answer of how to pull the 2025 data for the whole year instead of just a month, and I couldn't figure it out on Power BI. So then I had to search for, okay, who's running I had to go look in the US to see who was the person. I managed to figure it out, but we don't have time for that. That's not what, you know what I mean? Like, I should be able to just go to her and say, hey, can you help me pull this report? And it should be done. It wasn't the case.
So what assumptions are you making right now?
Assumptions that I'm making. Yeah, probably. I think a lot of the assumptions that I'm making are around her not caring to do the work, where really I think it's a case of her not knowing what that work should look like. But that's where I fight, like that's where the battle is within me, because I don't want to be coaching you to figure out what to do. I don't have time for it.
So we have, I don't know, let's say 20 minutes left in our conversation, and you shared quite a bit with me. What would be helpful for you to have at the end of our session?
I think I would like to be able to share my experience and knowledge with this team without feeling resentful and exhausted. Because it's not that I don't want to help. There's a big part of me that does want to help, but I find it draining trying to give basic instruction on what that job should look like.
Okay. And how will you know at the end of our session today that you'll have what you're looking for?
Just some clarity on how to approach the situation, I think.
And if I could just repeat back what I heard and let you know where this lands. But what you're hoping to achieve at the end of this is some knowledge on how you can manage the situation without feeling resentful and exhausted, and clarity on how moving forward so you won't be feeling those emotions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is in your control right now?
It's a good question. I mean, honestly, what I've chosen to do with what's in my control at the moment is just not ask the questions and figure it out myself from the get-go. So at least I eliminate the frustration, but then I don't eliminate the frustration because it takes me so long to find the right people that I'm frustrated that that happened, right? So I think what's in my control is I think just reaching out maybe to the more experienced people on the team instead of my manager for help, because they would probably have the answers. And that would, but then, I'd be frustrated. But then would I still be frustrated? I guess. I don't know. But maybe that's an approach that I could take.
And what's stopping you now from taking that approach?
Nothing, actually.
Mm.
No, there isn't anything. I think that just came to me because, but then what is the management position in this company, right? It's not flying around the country for points, which is what I see happening. You're getting your flight and travel points. And, I'll give you an example. My parents were here. I went to meet her. She wanted to meet me. It's fine. And I was hoping to go through data and this and that. And I was hoping to go through a business review and all the things. And it ended up being nothing. It ended up being a lunch in a very fancy place. And that's it. There was I had my laptop, I had everything ready but I thought, I'm not prodding you to do a business review. If you can't be bothered, well, then neither can I. That's not the right attitude to have, because I did my business review for myself, but it's always good to bounce it off someone else. And I didn't get that support of wanting to bounce off my business. And we talked about doing a business review before she came. It never happened. And there was lots of time wasted.
What do you think your manager would say about that situation?
Defensive for sure. Yeah, I think she would be surprised that I didn't bring it up. I think she would have said, "Oh, you should have just told me. We could have done that." But again, I've done my due diligence. I've done it. You should be saying, "Okay, show me what you've got. Let me see what's going on."
So I heard the word should again.
Yes.
So what expectations are you putting on your manager?
The expectations that I believe other people had of me in my previous roles. Of just wanting to be the best person I can be for my people, my team. I don't, and I've had management who have been extremely empowering, extremely supporting, and I'm not getting that here. And it's not that it's rubbing me up the wrong way. And I keep on saying should, you're right, but it's my expectation, because I've experienced it for so many years, that this is the first time in my career that I'm like, my goodness, this is not good.
Can I make an observation?
Yes.
It seems that it seems that there's an expectation that this manager should be behaving the way your past managers are, but she's not your past managers. How does that land?
You're right. You're right. She's not. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But that could be ego from my end a little bit. Yeah. But you've just made a really good point, but I've probably never even said, hey, when I'm asking you questions and you say, oh, I'm not sure. Like, I need your help on this. Can you help? Like, I need you to help me figure it out. Just saying I'm not sure with a full stop at the end. I'm not sure question mark would be better. Maybe I should just have that conversation. Because she doesn't even know probably how frustrated I am. Yeah, I think you make a good point. She's not. And yeah, I need to probably have a conversation with her.
And what would that conversation look like?
It's I have to navigate the defensiveness, because I've seen the defensiveness come out before. But it would be, I try and give examples, right? It would have to be very factually based. It can't be, I feel, I think. It's got to be, this happened on this day. I asked you for this, and then this is how much time it took me to get the answer. Yeah, I think it would be factually based. Yeah, something I need to look into.
And how would that be received by your manager?
Because of I'm not sure. I would have to tread very carefully, I think. But I think that it needs to happen in order for this situation to be resolved. I think that conversation needs to happen. And if there's any offense taken, well, we'll manage that as it comes through. I'm not going to be saying anything to intentionally offend anyone, but I do need to just be straightforward. And then, to your point, she's not my previous history, right? This is a new relationship. So maybe we both need to figure out what we're capable of and what our boundaries are and what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do. And ultimately, if that's not what she believes her role to be, to support me in those things, well, that's good because I know then, right? Like, what assumptions am I making? That's an assumption. Maybe she thinks that's been, not her part of her role.
There's a slight energy shift there. What's going on with that?
The assumption of me thinking, being very not judgmental, but doing the comparison. I shouldn't really be doing the comparison. And I didn't really see it that way. I feel like this industry is very much this industry. I feel like that's how it goes for 25 years of experience that I have. But things change, right? Industries change, approaches change. Not everyone's the same. And just because I've had really positive experiences, maybe I've just been lucky. And maybe that this is a relationship where we need to figure out what we both need to do, which is something that I hadn't thought of. I've been very stuck in that frustration. Not that I'm not solution focused, I am, but the frustration blindsides your solutions because you're just in that feeling of frustration.
So how does that feel now? Because it seems that there's a bit of a I don't know how to say it, but your energy is feeling lighter a little bit. And yeah, so how's that landing for you?
Yeah, I think I was a bit caught up there in what was going on. And, boundaries are really important, but also clarity is equally important in a relationship, doesn't matter what relationship it is. And I think to have those direct conversations is maybe something that I typically shy away from. Right. So yeah, I didn't see it this way. And I think the conversation will really help, just to have a conversation and sit down and say, this is an example of where I think we should have done things differently. What do you think? Or even ask, how do you take feedback? Like, are you okay with me talking to you about certain things that I'm just not sure about? I think that would make things so much better for both of us. Not that I think that she has an issue with me, and I don't believe that she knows that I have an issue with what's going on right now, but I think it would help me just get the clarity because everything's very in muddy waters. Yeah, I feel lighter, actually.
Nice. Are there any roadblocks you foresee?
No. Unless I chicken out from having the conversation. I won't. I won't.
Anything preventing you from having a conversation?
No, there isn't. It's bizarre because I know that, we having clarity and understanding is so important. But my road, actually, the roadblock in this situation was actually me because I was not seeing it I was not seeing it in the sense that I should have got clarity. You know, I should figure out how we like to do things, right? What we believe our roles are, and get some basic ground rules on this relationship. I didn't see it like that.
Nice. So at the beginning of the session, you wanted to find a way where you can share your knowledge, but without feeling resentful and exhausted, and have some clarity. Where do you feel now in the situation?
I feel much. I honestly, Sarah, I feel she might not even want my knowledge. She might be like, I don't care to know what you've done in the past. I'm figuring this out myself. Do you know what I mean? So I think having this conversation is going to be very back to basics for us both, and to figure it out, right? Where we both stand. I feel like I know what I need to do. I'll probably need more coaching down the road if it doesn't go well, and how I can, tackle that. But it's it was that was all my perception of the situation, instead of trying to see it from her lens. So I'm actually looking forward to figuring it out with her.
And you said something interesting, that she might not want my input, my knowledge. How does that land with you?
Fine.
Nice.
Because then I'm not going to be frustrated, right? Like, I'm thinking I need to support you in your new role that you've never done before. You've never managed people. You've never worked in other companies in the industry. You've only worked in this one company. You haven't had the breadth of experience. But so what? Why is that? Why am I getting my knickers in a twist over that? Right? So it actually lands really well. That's a me issue. Yeah, that's very interesting.
So what part of that is interesting?
That I was very inside. I was very inside my own head, right? And that can be a huge roadblock. And I've got to start seeing things a bit differently, and reminding myself to see things a bit differently.
And what can you do to help yourself, to remind yourself to see things differently?
This conversation, right? You've just got to remember what you said and how you felt in the moment. I will write a note on my phone for work, just to remind me that no. I think what's going to really help me, it's like anything, when you think of inventions, right? You struggle with something and you think, oh my God, we need to invent that because I'm struggling with it right now. If I come to a point where I'm struggling with someone or a situation, am I asking the right questions to figure out what we both need to move forward? Right. So I think anytime now that I'm feeling the frustration, or I'm feeling that, I just got to remind myself.
And when do you think you're going to be able to get this started?
Monday morning. It's got to. Otherwise, it's got to happen. And the kind of person that I am, I just need to get it out the way, get the elephant out of the room, and move forward.
So what's going to happen on Monday morning?
I'll ask for some time to speak to her. I think another thing I would like to do, which I'm going to do, which I didn't do, is why I had an agenda for that meeting, but I didn't share what I wanted to focus on. So even though it was discussed loosey-goosey, it was never set in stone that this is what we need to do at this meeting. So I'm now going to actively set an agenda of all the things that I need to have help with or accomplish during our meetings together. Yeah, this is very helpful.
Yeah. Can I make another observation? It feels like when you make those agenda, you're giving her grace too, because you're allowing her to understand what it is that you want to discuss.
Yeah.
How does that land?
Well, assumptions,
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now that I see it, now that I'm seeing it in a different light, it's absolutely ridiculous that I was making those assumptions. So it feels fair, actually. It feels fair. Um, I don't feel frustrated right now, actually. I feel quite enlightened about myself more than anything else. This isn't about my manager, actually. This is all about me and my expectations and my, it's all my. So that needs to switch itself out a little bit. Because innately, I'm a supporter. I'm 100% a supporter. So why aren't, I need to be more supportive in this one and not get wound up.
Could some of your frustrations be because you're innately a supporter?
Yes, 100%. 100%. But not everyone is. And you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it, right? That's my philosophy in life. So yeah, she'll figure it out.
So we're getting close to the end of our time. Priya, is there anything you're missing from me?
No, thanks for making it a Priya problem. More so because that's what I have control on. I have control on the things that I can do. And all of the things that I can do is actually going to benefit me in the long run. It benefit us all in the long run. I think I got a bit lost there for a second, which happens. But I appreciate the feeling of lightness again, for sure.
So as we close out, I want to acknowledge the work that you've done today. And I've seen a couple of aha moments in our conversation. So thank you for that. And thank you for being honest and vulnerable. I really do appreciate it. And good luck on Monday when
Thanks.
you send that email. I look forward to hearing how that goes.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate your session.
Thank you.
Sarah and Priya, yeah, that was really, really powerful. I could really get good takeaways from there, and I'm sure every one of us here could connect with Priya's situation to some extent. And we just really saw what a coaching session would look like and how much clarity could be unlocked from those questions. So thank you so much for to Sara and Priya for such an insightful session. Sara, would you want to take on and get some questions in, or would you like to talk more about consulting first?
So let's do that.
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Here we go.
Now, yes. Perfect.
Yeah. So I just wanted to remind everyone. So again, a huge thank you to Priya for being so generous and being so open and being willing to be my guinea pig today. So thank you very much, Priya. I absolutely appreciate it. So what you just witnessed is some of the work that we do at My Career Mentor at SATE. So you've seen, like I mentioned in the previous Saturdays, we have 2 streams. So one of the streams is the job search and promotion readiness, which you experience with the resume writing and your LinkedIn profile optimization. And the other stream is coaching, what you witnessed today. So please, this QR code on the screen will enable you to book a free 30-minute consult with me, and we can decide which stream would work best for you. And as mentioned in past weeks, Supply Chain Canada receives a 20% discount. So from our base price. So when you book that session with me, and if you decide to move forward, I'll send you the special Supply Chain Canada link, and that you automatically get that 20% discount. So typically 1 hour would be $200, but for Supply Chain Canada, it's $160. And then we have different bundles as well, and those are all discounted as well. So yeah, that's it. I'd love to answer any questions. If anybody has any, I'll just stop sharing.
Yes, thanks, Sara. And yeah, thank you so much for that.
keep those questions coming in, guys. We are almost at the end of our session here. And while we are getting those questions, please fill out the survey using the QR code that you are able to see on the screen. That would help us get feedback on whether you would like to see more of these career sessions. Would you want to know more about how to build better resumes, or any questions that you might have, or any suggestions that you might have for us? So please feel free to scan that QR code as well. And as we are getting questions from everyone, I took some notes personally, and I have some questions about how I can sign up for career coaching, and what should I be looking for before I sign up for career coaching. So let me start with um, the question that popped the first in my mind. So when do I actually need a coach, Sarah? Is it only when I'm in crisis mode, or like I just got laid off, or I hate my job, or what are the earlier signals there?
Some people will go in crisis mode is when they decide they need a coach, but I work with people now who aren't in crisis mode, but are always looking for tune-ups. So I think it's important to have a coach throughout your career, because things pop up anyway. And it's also important to make sure you're thinking about your goals. Sometimes people in your career, you're almost on automatic pilot. And it's nice to have those touch points with someone who can help hold you accountable to make sure you're reaching the goals you're wanting to reach. But sometimes your goal, and not sometimes, a lot of times your goals are going to change as you grow within your career, as you realize new things are happening, new interests that you have. So personally, I think it's important to have a coach throughout your career, from the very beginning to the very end, and even after your career, how to navigate your retirement and what that could look like. So I think it's important to have a coach. Can be beneficial throughout the lifespan of your career.
Wow, nice, nice. And you touched upon it the right way to say a lot of folks would probably think about having a coach in crisis mode only. So what if I take a scenario where I say, okay, so I figured out I'm stuck. I've been having the same conversation with myself for a month about any situation that I'm stuck in, and I know I need help, but there are multiple ways I could probably decode it. So it's 2026. I've got AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and whatnot, right? So all these AI tools are at my fingertips, and and honestly, for supply chain folks, they overthink a lot, and guys, I'm sure the attendees could vouch for that as well. And we analyze everything to depth. So what's the difference between me just using AI to help me think through my career, or journaling it out myself, just overthinking, analyzing, and understanding, coming to a conclusion maybe, or versus actually paying for a coach, or having a coach by my side? How do I know when I should stop overthinking on it on my own and actually get a coach?
Well, the fact that you're overthinking it is telling me you need a coach right there. But I think all of those tools could be helpful. I think even AI can be helpful, but you need that human contact. You need that human interaction. AI right now isn't great at understanding context. AI isn't great you'll have a conversation with AI and you'll come back to it a week later and it might not remember the context, and you have to re-enter the context and do all of those kind of things. With a human, you have that interaction. And although coaching isn't often, we're not writing notes, it's not a therapy session, but we do have that continuity, that context, and that personal touch to it. And AI right now isn't perfect. So, excuse me. So I think it's a tool there to support, but a coach will give you what you're looking for and will have that person that you can bounce things off of in a way that AI can't do it.
Yeah, no, no, that's really powerful. And Priya, also I would like to put you in a bit of a spot there to get your views on it, on how would you navigate it? Like, have you used any of those AI tools or sat with it yourself in this situation or in any other situation versus having a coach navigate you figure out a situation? What does that difference look like from your perspective? I'm sure that would be a lot valuable to the attendees that we have here today.
Yeah, so with I have used it to navigate difficult conversations for sure. But the problem with AI is, as to Sarah's point, it doesn't give you alternatives of a situation, right? It doesn't say it. It will focus on what you're asking it to do. So if you're asking it to navigate a conversation, it's going to focus on that. What a coach is going to do is say, well, what's behind that? Why do you feel that that's an issue? You're not going to get that from AI. You're just going to get the answer. You're not going to get the root cause of where this feeling is coming from. Right? Like even today, I didn't realize that this was a Priya issue. This was an ego issue. I didn't really realize that until it was pulled out, like, until she dug deep enough into me to pull it out. So AI is not going to do that. So actually, you'll always think you're great using AI because you'll be like, oh, it's not a me issue at all. This is like something else. So yeah, I don't believe it will ever be there, I think. And sometimes with coaching, it can totally go off gear. You get into an area where you think, oh my gosh, this is actually a personal issue. This isn't a professional issue, right? And then the coach navigates that. So yeah, I have tried navigating conversations. I would prefer the coach because I need to figure out where the issue's coming from. I hope that
Yeah,
helps.
If
yeah,
I
no,
can add too,
yes,
like
yes,
AI
please.
misses the it will miss the, I don't, what's the word, like the nuances. So I can see a switch in Priya's facial expression. I can notice an energy change, and then you dig into that energy change. So sometimes energy change is a positive. Like today we had a couple positive energy shifts, but sometimes you have a negative energy shift and the tears start to show up in someone's eyes, and a coach can focus on what's coming up for you now, where AI isn't going to be aware of those things that are happening. And then it's missing because that's the nugget. Like when there's an emotion or an energy shift, that means something's happening inside, and there's dots that are being connected potentially. And when the coach can dig in and really like scratch at that, that's when the truth comes out. And that's when aha moments can happen. And AI doesn't have that ability to do that because it's just not watching your facial reactions. It's not looking at emotions that are being evoked. So I think that's some of the differences too. I think you need that human.
Yeah, yeah, no, Sarah, you touched it the right path that I wanted it to go, and and I think I would just like to ask another question just as a follow-up on that part that you mentioned the last, where you mentioned that AI is incapable of processing those emotions that we are going through. On the other end, like the human that is interacting with this AI chatbot on a voice basis, I personally think that I would not be able to open up, or maybe AI would not be possibly be able to provide me with an environment that gets me to open up to an extent where I can share those positive emotions or negative emotions. Like I cannot imagine myself opening up to an AI chatbot to an extent where tears would start rolling over my eyes. So would you like to touch upon that, on why that happens and why a human connect is needed? Is that potentially the requirement to get a coach instead of navigating it ourselves through AI?
I think the AI can get to the surface level of things and the human goes deeper.
Hmm.
And you need someone to help go deeper for you in order to get to whatever is blocking, whatever the fear, because everybody, I think, knows the answer, but sometimes you need help getting there. And that's the coach's job. But through asking questions, through challenging your assumptions, through and you'll notice in the session, there was times where Priya was very quiet because she was thinking. And you need to have that time to process and think, and the coach needs to create an environment where it's safe for you to process and think and have those emotions come up. And when you're just answering questions on your computer from a chatbot, you don't get those deep emotion come out because you don't necessarily have to answer them. You don't have someone looking at you in the eyes, asking those questions and reading your facial features and watching if your shoulders drop down, or if that you get excited and you have those visual cues to see you getting excited. It's just more of a superficial relationship, I guess you're going to get, or superficial, I guess, session. If you go with an AI bot, where going with humans, you just get that, it just dives deeper and there's really nowhere to hide. You have to answer the questions, or there's silence, and the silence is uncomfortable for people, and coach will leave silence to make it uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, truly, that's really powerful. Just to build on that story further, so let's say that I'm convinced that I need to stop overthinking and I need to start working with a coach, right? What does that commitment realistically look like? Because I'm guessing it's not just one session where where you fix my resume and send me on my way, or do anything of those coaching sessions to be done within one session, right? Maybe it would be few months, or what would that look like?
It depends on everybody. Like, it really, really depends. Sometimes it is only one session. Sometimes you get a breakthrough in one session and you feel great and it's moving forward. Sometimes it could be 3 to 6 sessions. It depends on and sometimes it's multiple sessions, but you want to meet the coach maybe once a month just for check-ins. So it really just depends on the person and on the situation. Yeah, I think start with one and see if you want to move forward and see if it's the right fit for you as well. And I think what's important is to have an idea what you want to talk about for it to be really impactful for you. You can't just show up to a coaching session without an idea of what you want to discuss. Priya knew what she wanted to talk about today, but if you don't know, it's hard for the coach to help you. So I think that's what's important. And sometimes it's like, I just want to talk about, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great with my career. I just want to have a conversation about that. So yeah, so I think it I don't know if I really answered your question. It could be one session, it could be 10 sessions. It's just really depends on the person and what problem, if any, you're trying to solve.
Yeah, no, you really did answer that question, and that's great. And I would just like to elaborate on that part that you really touched upon. What if someone doesn't know what they want to talk about? Like, say, for example, I don't know what my goal is. Like, I know I'm not happy in procurement. I know I don't want to be doing the same thing in 5 years, but I have no idea what my actual next move should be. Do I need to have that clarity before I hire a coach, or can coaching help me figure out what I even want in the first place?
So you have a goal, is trying to figure out what my goal is. That's your goal. So for you not to know what your next step is perfect, because that goal is to try to figure out what my next step is. So I think that's perfect. So you don't need to, when I mean goal, it's not necessarily I'm in procurement and I'm trying to figure out what my next step is, and the goal to come meet with me is that next step. You need to come meet with me to help you figure out what that next step is. It's why is it that you don't want to be happy? Why aren't you happy in procurement? Is it you don't like procurement, or is it the company that you're working for? Maybe you like the company that you're working for, but the manager isn't working out for you. Or maybe it's what you're procuring, you're finding unbelievably difficult because, I don't know, there's been supply chain challenges and it's causing you stress, but you really do like procurement. So it's really when someone says I don't like procurement, it's uncovering why. What is it about procurement? Maybe you do like procurement. It's the environment you don't like. So there's a lot of things to unpack. And the goal isn't like the end piece. It's like, what am I trying to figure out right now? And it could be 1,000 of different things.
Yeah, no, that's really valuable. And I think it is on my end, like the discussion that we have had so far, it feels very convincing to me. So I'm bought in the idea of, having a coach and all. And I'm sure a lot of folks here are inclined to in that same headspace. But I think the hesitation there would be also around ROI. So I wanted to touch upon this last aspect of it to really understand what could be the tangible outcomes that one could expect heading into one of these sessions. Like, would it be all about I'll land a job faster, I'll probably be able to negotiate a better salary, or I would feel more confident in my interviews that I'm appearing for? What could be the expectations entering in one of these sessions, just so that we are setting the right expectations with the folks that are looking to sign up, and then it's pretty much clear for them to have that preparation and that mindset before heading in.
All of the above, everything that you said, that's what coaching will give you. And if it's clarity on an issue, it's clarity, and it's giving you you've come up with the next steps, and the coach helps you stay accountable. So I think it's, you have a problem and we help you figure out how to solve that problem, and we help you hold yourself accountable, and we help you figure out what roadblocks there might be to solving that problem and how you're going to work around the roadblocks before they even come. So I think it's the ROI is understanding, it's feeling not, when you're uncomfortable and you're struggling with something, you're no longer struggling with that something. You've figured out what the situation is. You have a lightness, you have confidence in yourself because you've come up with the solution and you've created the steps that you're going to take to solve them. And you've already identified potential roadblocks and figured out how you're going to step around those roadblocks. So I think the ROI is how you're going to feel about the situation and yourself, and being able to deal with it and your capabilities, and knowing that you're the one who came up with the solutions for all of those. Priya, have I missed anything? Because I know Priya does some of the coaching too. So yeah, I'm not on our team, but she's also a coach. So
no, that was exactly it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'm sure there's a lot of value that the audience would have gained from all the discussion that we have had so far. And we have received a few questions. A few of them are in regards to the previous session that we had. A lot of folks gained value from those sessions too. So Bill is asking, what specific resources like books or YouTube videos do you recommend for guidance on cover letters and interviews? So Sara, just to add on that, maybe we could include any other resources that you're mentioning in the email that would go along. So that would be a good toolkit for all the attendees. But yeah, your take on it, please, Sara.
I can't, first, in terms of books, things have changed so rapidly when it comes to writing a resume. And so I would look more on YouTube and I would look at actually LinkedIn. There's some great people on LinkedIn too. And Instagram actually has some great folks that will help with career services too, if you just want to get some different point of view on different kinds of things. And AI is super helpful. Like some of the prompts that I used last week to help you with AI, I think play around with different things. And then book a free consult, and we can talk about your resume, talk about your LinkedIn, and we can figure out next plans of attack to make both of those stand out.
So yeah, no, that's really valuable. So just a reminder, we'll be sending out all those toolkit materials as well as the slide decks and recording at the end of this session after this. So that's just a reminder. We don't have any more questions, but we have a comment from Heather that I would like to share, and that's to Priya. So she's thanking Priya for being vulnerable and sharing your situation, Priya. You're a brave person, and I understand your concerns about your talk with your manager on Monday. We we all want positive collaboration and recognition from our direct manager, but sometimes this may not happen because they are their own person. Remember that your values will always guide you. So that's a kind note sent by Heather to you, Priya.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we are at the end of the question segment that we had here. Thank you so much for taking time out, Sara. It all means a lot. I'm sure during the 3-session webinar that we have done, the folks here have gained great insights on how to develop their LinkedIn, how to develop their resumes, and how to consult for help. Right, whenever they need any consultation, how can they reach out and seek help? So thank you so much for that, Sara. And thank you to all of the folks that were able to join us for all 3 sessions and today as well. Week after week, Saturday after Saturday, you didn't watch, you engaged, you asked questions, you took notes, and you did the work. So kudos to everyone that took time out on weekends and joined the session with us. Just a reminder, again, the recording, the slide deck, and the toolkits would be shared latest by Monday over email to all the attendees. So please do watch out for that. And I would just like to quickly highlight some of the action items. So in the first session, we talked about updating your LinkedIn profile. So folks, please use those materials that we'll be sending out to then update your LinkedIn profile, rebuild your resume. That was the session 2. The recording you could go along with to then update your resume as well. And then, of course, on the screen, as you can see, you could book a 30-minute free consultation with Sara. So please do explore that option to if you have any questions from the first 2 sessions that we did, or if you just really want to get an idea about your current situation and how Sara could help you navigate. Sara has also offered a special offer for Supply Chain Canada members, 20% off for SATE My Careers Mentorship Program. So whether you are navigating career transition, aiming for a promotion, or just feeling stuck, this is your chance to work with an ICF certified coach who's helped hundreds of supply chain professionals land their next role. So please do check that out. Once more, Sara, thank you. You have been an incredible partner in the series, and Priya, thank you so much for joining today's session again. And to all of you who were able to join, thank you for your engagement and commitment. This is the end of the series, the 3-session series that we did. I'm sure you folks gained valuable insights. We would love to get your feedback. The link to the survey feedback form would also be included in the email. So feel free to share your feedbacks about the session and how we could make it better the next time we do the same sessions for you. Have a great rest of your afternoon or evening from wherever you're joining us from across Canada. And if we say, and we have a few other events lined up at Supply Chain Canada, so feel free to check our events page at supplychaincanada.com/events, where you'll be able to find a variety of workshops and webinars on supply chain. So we would love to see you in any of those sessions and help you land your next role. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a nice evening and afternoon. Thank you.